It's DTS 128, and Merry Christmas to all of our listeners. We hope you guys had an awesome year. It's the holiday show. We've got a lot to talk about with the Dawning going live, patch 2.5, and a bunch of stuff about Destiny 2 speculation.
You're listening to Destiny the Show.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to Destiny the Show, the Destiny news podcast to keep you, the Guardian, ahead of the curve in the world of Destiny. My name is BBK Dragoon, and joining me, as always, is my great co-host, Ditty. What is up, dude? Congratulations. I heard you passed the exam.
I did, yes. So all the studying I did this week culminated into a pass last Friday for my network security certification. So that was really awesome. It was a level 4, and I need to get level 5 as well in the next couple weeks here. So at least by the end of January. But typical Texas fashion, the weather was like 60 degrees yesterday, and then today it's 16. So winter has arrived finally.
Do you try and wear sandals out and that kind of stuff, man?
I do not, but I did wear a t-shirt yesterday in the 60-degree weather, so today was quite a surprise.
So with that certification, does that mean you're moving on up in the world when it comes to your job?
Hopefully, yes.
Time will tell. All right, well, good luck on the next certification thing. How much more difficult is this next test compared to this one? Are they about the same?
Well, this one was like the intro technical level, and then the next one is a little bit more advanced, so I don't expect it to be too much more difficult, but it's just going to be a little bit more in-depth.
So you're diving deeper. Well, this week we've got two things to talk about, and it's going to span two shows. It's a very special DTS Christmas because we're talking about Destiny 2, a NeoGAF forum post that we've alluded to on the show in previous weeks that goes into way detail about how Destiny 2 is going to change dramatically, and a lot of the things that were rumors have actually come to sort of give more validity to this forum post. We heard you guys on Twitter. We're going to talk about your suggestions for Destiny 2, but today, first we're talking about the patch update, the Dawning. I really have enjoyed this event. We're going to highlight some of the big changes that happened in 2.5. Cosmo spoke out a little bit about why we didn't see a weapon balance update with this thing this year at Bungie, which means we're basically not going to see another weekly update from Bungie for probably a week or two. So stick around. This is going to be a really big two-part show bonanza. Part 1 this week, part 2 the following week. Why don't we dig into that news, Ditty?
Jumping in.
So the Dawning went live. I've been racing. I've not been doing as much strikes as I've hoped to, but I've finished the entire SRL side of the book. And I can safely say I like this event a lot more than last year's Sparrow Racing League. I think the live team have put together the best update so far outside of the April update. This one has been a lot of fun, great quality of life improvements, and we're going to talk about those. But however, there was no weapon balance pass, which you and I both thought it was a shoo-in, right?
Yeah, it seemed like the appropriate time to do a weapon balance pass this time around. But as Cosmo says, they are planning that first thing in the new year.
That's right. So I'm going to read a post here from Cosmo. I have to give him props, dude, because we're frustrated. People on Twitter saying, hey, man, where's the weapon balance update? What's going on? Please don't tell us we're going to have to play with Metador 64 and Dragon until next, whenever Destiny 2 comes out. And within a day, he put out a response from the live team that reads this. Hey, everybody, we wanted to take the time to let you all know, while we did not include a balance patch in the Dawning, we are listening to your feedback. We appreciate all of you who return to Destiny over and over again, and we respect the things you have to say about what you are seeing and feeling as you play. As we wage wars in our play test labs, we're taking a lot of things into account, player data, your feedback, and our own gameplay experiences. We've heard the conversation about and felt for ourselves shotgun dominance. Yes, we see you, Matador 64, but we feel strongly that our goal shouldn't be to nerf them into the ground. Instead, we're looking at solutions that could bring shotguns into a better state of balance with the rest of the guns in the game. In doing this, we would still want shotguns to be effective and fun to wield. We could quickly and easily break shotguns and call it a day, but it's important to us that we explore positive changes that can make Destiny better for everyone. Thanks for playing and being so passionate about Destiny. We wish you all the happiest of holidays and look forward to you kicking our asses in SRL. And Cosmo finishes up by saying, the right time and place for a deployment of a sandbox change is something we'll investigate further in the new year. In the meantime, our playtest is continuing, blah, 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 blah. So, cool. Next year, sometime, I think February, Crimson Days, that's probably the time frame that I see this going live. But I love this. This is a great response, man.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I like how Cosmo says a couple things. One, yes, we see you, Matador64. That means, like, that specific gun, obviously, yes, is one of the most powerful in the game right now. It's the stats. You know, players equip different weapons in the Crucible. Bungie can see all those statistics. I'm going to assume Matador 64 is referenced here because it's obviously the one at the top of the list. Like 35% of players are equipping this one in the Crucible. And another thing is, you know, we could break shotguns and just call it a day. Yeah, we can nerf that into the ground. Your shotgun does 2 damage to the head and 0 to the chest. But they're not going to do that. They want to actually do a really good job of, you know, taking shotguns down a notch and maybe bringing everything up so that everything becomes more balanced. So it's not going to be as quick of an easy fix as people would like, but they're taking a little bit more in-depth look, and I actually really like that.
Yeah, they said, hey, it's coming, we hear your feedback, but we don't want to do what we've kind of done in the past. I think they've been accused of this, rightfully so, from time to time, where they nerf a class down or a weapon type down, and ultimately that weapon class just goes by the wayside. Cough, cough, auto rifles. Those things have struggled to regain a footing. Yes, there was that time where the ultra high rate of fires could do very well. You know, there was that time when Doctrine of Passing was doing fairly well, but outside of it, the auto rifle class has been pretty much non-existent. Right now, hand cannons, if you don't have max range hand cannon, it's not going to be as effective in the Crucible as a lot of the other weapon types. So this is encouraging. This whole post I read from them is encouraging. Sounds like they need a little bit more time. They're still working in the lab and cooking up what will be a balanced pass. I bet Crimson Days. Do you think timing-wise February makes sense?
Yeah, I definitely think that'd be appropriate. And, of course, Crimson Days is, in the past, it's been a PvP event, you know. Crimson Doubles is the thing that came out last year with Crimson Days. So it would make sense that a weapon balance pass would come with a PvP event.
Speaking of that, I've gotten a lot of Crimson Days rewards while racing in SRL. I got the chocolate ghost today.
Nice.
I haven't gotten another sugary ghost, although my original has a pretty good roll. I'm going to jump ahead in our show notes. Let's talk about patch 2.5 here for a second. This is the Dawning update. I really loved this event. I think that it's well executed. I like the way that the treasures of the Dawning were handled. Some of the new sparrows are so sexy. I ended up, this is going to shock you, Ditty. I spent $5 on this event. $5 whole dollars. I know.
Wow.
But I loved it because I didn't get really any duplicates. I've gotten
That's good.
Plenty of chances to get those free treasures of the Dawning just by completing some of the record book. I've finished off the SRL side of the record book. Strike scoring is something I'm going to go after this next week. But I think they've done a pretty good job, and the quality of life changes especially, and the new strikes or the remix strikes were fantastic. Omnigul is now one of the best strikes in the game.
Yeah, being able to just fight in that last arena, oh man, it's so great. But like you said, these quality of life changes that patch 2.5.0 brought to us are fantastic. So great. And we're not going to go too detailed into the patch notes in the show here. If you want to read all of them, we'll have that linked in our show notes as well. But there are a few that we do want to highlight. Starting off with, obviously, we talked about this last week, green weapons and armor gear to materials. Once you've hit level 40, you will now automatically convert those uncommon green engrams to weapon and armor materials as you pick them up. So that is fantastic. I love that.
Dude, I'm running over them now. It's like I chase them down more than I would a blue or a purple. It's like, oh, I need that. I want those materials. Best fix of the entire year. Plus, dead guardians are now automatically respawned at the end of strikes. It's hard to believe it's taken this long for that to happen, but again, one of those just perfect quality of life things. So you're like, hey, if my postmaster is full or something like that, I want to run over there, or if I want to open the chest, and the randoms I have with me are just total jerks and they don't care. you know?
Yeah, I mean, that could have been your perfect Imago loop roll that you just missed out on.
That's exactly it, man. Oh, can we jump to skeleton keys then? Because they're way better.
Absolutely. Skeleton keys have been adjusted. That was the patch note, with the detail, of course. The drop rates have been slightly increased in the Siva Crisis playlist, Siva Crisis Heroic playlist, and the weekly Nightfall. And players will now receive a guaranteed, I'm adding that word in there, but it's true, guaranteed skeleton key in their first account Nightfall clear per week. That is fantastic.
Dude, I've gotten 3 this week, I think just from drops, excluding my account Nightfall one, but I did play a decent amount at the beginning of the week. But it's better. It's a lot better. And while this isn't blue flaming helmets or the sweet XP buff, I think the 1 account guaranteed key each week is my incentive to continue doing Nightfalls at the start of the week.
Yep.
You and I both are aiming for a really nice Imago loop so we can relive those Fatebringer dreams. The Fatebringer I never got.
Yeah, I really do want to relive that glory, but it gives you a reason to do the Nightfall. Like you said, it's not those end game rewards potential, those 12 strange coins you might get, but it's guaranteed. Yes, I get a skeleton key that I get to use at the end of the strike, so that's fantastic.
They fixed an issue with the pathfinding that caused enemies to not properly exit their spawn location. They're talking about the beginning of the Omnigul strike. It used to be just an incredible orb generation frenzy when all the thrall would run out of the doors. They're like, yes, Golden Gun and Tether and Nova Bomb. And then for whatever reason, with Rise of Iron, it messed up their pathing, so only like one would run out, and you're like,
one every like
here?
30 seconds, and you're just like, okay, gotta do this.
They really shortened the time it takes in the Omnigul strike to get to the back portion of it, which I think is great, because previously it was a pretty long strike, and especially with the weird pathing stuff. But the last fight, they've nailed it. I think they turned a strike that was not its intended actual fight with people, hunkering down in the doorway. And now the cheese spots are full of ogres. It's going to be one of the hardest Nightfalls, I bet, in the game, depending on the burns that they stick on it, just because it's chaotic and fun.
And now, with the strike scoring, it's not even in our notes here, but with strike scoring, with my experience, it's like people are actually killing the ads now. Because before, it was like I would have 200 kills and my teammates would have 30. But now it's like, stop killing my ads because I want those points for the strike score. But we have to fight for that. But I actually really like that they've totally swapped that dynamic. It's like, man, I have to carry these guys. Now I'm just like, stop. Let me kill things.
Yeah, that was mine to Nova Bomb, sir. That was not yours to Tether. What is this? Some sort of team activity? All right, they fixed in SRL racing suits. They didn't fix them, but they now can be earned from SRL matches, and they have light that can be infused, which is pretty cool. Crucible bounties and Jolly Holiday Quest can no longer be completed in Sparrow Racing, so rip our thought process last week. Yeah. Doesn't happen. But you can level subclasses. I'm doing that right now.
That's true, yep. Reduce burn effects on incoming damage done to Guardians, and outgoing damage by Guardians is unchanged. So that's for the void burn, the solar burn. In those types of strikes, your outgoing damage has been unchanged, but the coming into you has been reduced slightly. The Circuit and Momentum SRL Racing gear sets have been added to the Holiday Collection for players who have earned those items. The Circuit and Momentum Racing gear obtained from the collection has light and can be infused, and the class items have light and perks and require legendary marks to purchase.
Pretty stinking cool, and the ornaments are dropping like candy. So if you do have some of the SRL gear, you can deck it out, and all of the ornaments that you want, so long as you're racing. I don't know, it didn't take many. I think probably in 10 races I saw 2 or 3 ornaments drop over the course of it. I've also seen IS Lunas dropping. I didn't put that in the patch notes, but there are some older PvP weapons that are now dropping as Crucible rewards, so you don't have to go grind the classic playlist to try and get yourself a nice rolled IS Luna. That's another goal of mine. I really, really want range perk IS Luna. I have a Luck in the Chamber one that's fun, but if you could get a max range IS Luna, man.
Yeah, alongside the IS Luna, it's Party Crasher +1, the Ash Factory, NL Shadow, which is my favorite scout rifle ever, and the Red Spectre.
And there's a lot of Party Crashers dropping. I'll definitely say if you need a good shotgun right now is the time to just go back and grind SRL, man. And that's a relaxing thing to do if you don't enjoy PvP, but you want to get some sweet weapons. The Xur changes are pretty rad, Ditty. He's selling exotic shards again. Yes! Oh, I've wanted that. He's not selling exotic weapon ornaments because we now have the ornament kiosk, which is something I want to talk about in a second. I think it's super cool. And Xur now sells a larger stack of 10 heavy ammo cents for all of those if you're trying to, I don't know, faction rep grind or whatever. So good Xur changes.
Yes, fantastic Xur changes. We've wanted exotic shards for a while, and now they're finally here. And people like Gathalion won't have to do his 3-hour heavy synth stream. Just hitting that square button, getting those heavy synth from Xur. You can buy them in packs of 10 now. That's awesome.
The exotic ornament kiosk is really cool. You can go in and purchase exotic ornaments for the weapons that you would like for 25 silver dust. However, it does not include the new ornaments that just came with the Dawning. So like the Thorn ornaments, you have to get those from the Radiant Treasures or, what is it? The Last Word ornaments. I think there's also... I can't remember the list that we talked about last week, but you can get your Radiant Treasures now by your first PvP activity of the week. If you complete a PvP activity, there's your Radiant Treasure. Radiant Treasures don't give you silver dust any longer. However, you can dismantle that ornament in order to get the silver dust. I think this is great because in the past we've asked for the ability to not play the RNG loot game with the boxes. If I want the ornament, I can buy it. No, I can't buy the Last Word right now, like the one that I want, or the Thornament that I want. I have to wait for that in the Radiant Treasure. But come the next update, I'm sure I'm going to be able to purchase those. So they're meeting us, I think, halfway. And as expected, this week at Bungie is called This Year at Bungie because it is the final weekly update of 2016. They're hopping off the internet for the next week or two. Last year, they took like an entire month break. So that was a little bit worrisome when we didn't get a weekly update for a whole month. And last year, it was called the Weekly Update, and then it turned into This Week at Bungie. That was when they had their whole CEO shakedown, right? The CEO stepped down, and the whole schedule of Destiny was supposedly going under chaos and changing.
And then we can expect that, you and I, we talked about this in the pre-show, we're going to expect just a week off from This Week at Bungie. They're going to come back because that second week is going to be in January. If not, they're going to take that first week of January off. This is what I'm predicting. And they're going to talk about some new things like the weapon balance change, get a roadmap for 2017. That's the next year, of course. And then they're going to give us that weekly update right after that. Be like, hey, this is what we talked about last week. I know we took 2 weeks off, but here's a roadmap until Destiny 2.
And with Iron Banner coming back in January, like mid-January, I would expect a weekly update the week before that. So I don't see this being like last year. I think they've learned, and we don't really have to worry. However, there's not a whole lot on the horizon. If somebody's a new Rise of Iron player, we keep referring to February a lot because Crimson Days was a live team event that occurred last February. PvP event, kind of smaller. However, that's where we see the next update coming to Destiny. And then following that, fingers crossed, April update bringing to us the remixed raids. It's the last giant thing that would be a huge hoorah before Destiny 2. And I thought about this. We haven't heard a single blip about Destiny 2 officially from Bungie themselves. Like, no hint at PSX, no little, tease in the weekly update because they're still trying to sell Rise of Iron and the collection for holiday. I'm dead serious. Like, as a product, the collection you could get for $30 during the Thanksgiving holiday, Black Friday and Cyber Monday. I imagine a same sale is going to go on for Christmas, but once that concludes, that's the last big selling time. The hints are coming. The leaks are coming. Destiny 2 is coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those Guardians who are brand new to Destiny, if you're jumping in with the collection, that is a ton of content to get done between now and when Destiny 2 comes out. So it's a good time to join Destiny.
I have been asked so many times by people the last couple of weeks, hey, is it a good time to get into Destiny? I played a little in the beta, but I didn't come back.
Yeah.
I've gotten that so many times, and I'm just sitting here going, $30 for Vanilla, Dark Below, House of Wolves, The Taken King, Rise of Iron. Yeah, it's a great time to come. What are you talking about, dude? This is an amazing time to be a new player.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Definitely. Especially with the Dawning out right now. People getting Destiny for Christmas, they're going to be jumping in right as the Dawning is happening. They're going to be going into the tower and it's going to be snowing and be like, what is all of that stuff? That's just I'm getting myself hyped up for hypothetical situations. So,
well, then let's pivot here and do a big It Came From Twitter section. We asked you guys last week, what do you want to see in Destiny 2?
It came from Twitter.
At Pika0 says 60 FPS would be a nice thing. At this point, Ditty, we're expecting 60, right? Would be kind of disappointed. Not kind of. I would be disappointed if it was 30 FPS for Destiny 2.
Yeah, 60 FPS seems to be the norm for current generation games, and especially with the Xbox One S and the PS4 Pro. Scorpio. The new current gen consoles, I would expect, at least 60 FPS to be coming out of the Destiny 2.
I hope it's not like only PS4 Pro gets 60 FPS, right? I can see that happening, dude.
Awful.
I'm telling you, this either you're going to sacrifice visual fidelity for that extra frame rate, so it's going to be low, like running lower than 1080p, most likely, like a 900 something. Or Bungie's going to say, no, the game stays just as beautiful. We're keeping it 30. I want it to be 60, however. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. We're going to PC, and it has to be 60 or plus. Like uncapped frame rate Bungie. Yeah, we're both going to PC. Like, it's just happening. I think we said that on the show before, but thanks, Pika. At Dead Riso, add Guardian executions like Titanfall 2. So if you run up to somebody in Titanfall 2 behind them and you melee them, you'd go into a third-person animation where you, like, snap their neck or, like, punch their face out and stuff. It's pretty cool.
Like Halo as well. Mm-hmm.
It's like Halo, yeah. I don't know if I want that, though, because I remember a lot of times dying in Reach because it's like, no, I just wanted to backsmack him. Come on.
I mean, even in Halo 5, it's like, that would be kind of OP because then you would have to introduce one-hit melee kills, and that doesn't exist in Destiny. Well,
cough, you frickin' blade dancing. At Hey, I'm SWAT, to be able to fly our ships like that mission in Halo Reach. So there's a mission in Halo Reach where it's basically like a starfighter portion of the game where you are flying the ship and shooting stuff. That would be pretty crazy if you actually used your ship in Destiny like a vehicle instead of the sort of menu system that it currently is.
Yep. Yeah, it's just a loading screen at this point. And
like
there's
No
one
Man's
at the end of
Sky.
Halo 4 as well. And it would make a lot of sense. And then your ship could navigate or maneuver depending on which version you had, like the space bus. Just be super slow turning, just heavy hitter though.
Think about it though, you're rolling with your crew, you're on Earth, and you guys roll up to your ships, and then you look and you're like, guys, something's going on the moon. And everybody jumps in their ships, and it's like No Man's Sky. You all take off and blast to the moon together. That would be... Oh.
What if you had fire team ship squadrons, and one part of the raid, you have cavalry on the field with their sparrows, and then the ships coming down and shooting down at the tower that the Fallen have taken over. Oh my goodness.
I want to be at the board meetings where Bungie's creative directive team is just thinking about all these things, because it's crazy hype to think about it. At Halo Activists, I would like to see the starting common weapons stay with you and eventually build up to be exotics you create. Ornaments and upgrades occur based on exotic quests for parts and specific motes of light to infuse more options into the exotic. So it's basically like Kvostov version 2 on steroids. You get it at the beginning of the game, or the Stranger's Rifle. If that weapon evolved into something that could have 9 different variants, and you went on really long treks to put together that specific variant.
Yeah, that would be so awesome. We saw something, like you said, the Kvostov, the Husk of the Pit into Eidolon's Ally into Necrochasm. Excuse me. And then, oh my god, I just had it at the tip of my tongue. But the Galahorn quest, of course, getting the Year 3 Galahorn, we had to find the parts and then build it. Just that on a much larger scale would be so awesome. You had to get the core of your Touch of Malice by killing Oryx. Something like that to forge your weapon. You had to get a different part because of you killed this strike boss. That'd be so cool.
Balancing would be so hard for all of this, but I love it nonetheless because you get attached to that weapon.
Yeah.
At Snurv, who is a huge Destiny player, this guy is he is definitely top tier. More vault space, agreed. Make patrol more interesting, 100% agree. More customization, more weapon types, more quests, more secrets, higher difficulties for hardcore players. Yes. Remove Grimoire and add lore to the game. PvP patrol, Guardians are dangerous. Can Bungie hire you, Snurf? Because all of those things, yes. Let's highlight just a couple. Which one stands out to you? Mine is the higher difficulties for hardcore players, because I want there to be another difficulty tier like Mythic for the ultra hardcore raiders that takes weeks for the best clans to clear.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to combine to make Patrol more interesting and the PvP Patrol Guardians are dangerous.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Into the Wild. Because, oh my gosh, the Wild is the greatest theory ever. And Destiny doesn't have it yet. I say yet because I still think it's coming. But that would just be awesome. Like, you go into, like, way beyond the wall into, like, the European Dead Zone. And you fight strike bosses as you go along, and then as you get further out, guardians can start to attack you, and you have to become this independent and just fight for your life type of deal. It's man,
it's like what a hunter is. That's what I feel like the hunter, to me, when we were first learning about this game, made sense with, was in the wild, scavenges, scouts, stays away from like the action but can also get into the thick of things and mix it up. The idea for the wild, which we're going to talk about in next week's show, is basically a huge patrol space, infinitely larger than what we currently have. And like Ditty says, there are strike bosses and really challenging mobs out there, and you have to work together with other guardians to survive. And there's outposts. You can actually see in the artwork, the wild is something that they have discussed and conceptualized before. Outposts are something they have conceptualized before. If you've ever seen some of the old the art pieces where they have companion pets, guardians actually in the wild with animals, like a tiger as a pet.
Yeah,
the wild to me is just such a great idea. If we could
imagine you are Lord Saladin with your pack of wolves behind you, just patrolling the plague lands, like as your own sentinel. And then you come across the Siva, and you're like, oh, shit. It's those types of moments that would make the wild so great, because he has to take that on, and it's a big mob, and it's awesome.
At Denwa Kurage, Vault let us categorize items light level alphabetically, types of primaries, auto, or exotic. That's, like it. I mean, Dim and Ishtar do some of that stuff already.
Yes.
So, hire the guys who do that. I bet Bungie probably had conversations with some of those engineers. I would be surprised if they hadn't.
Yeah.
At MLG Gaming 2015, open world game, and we get to play alongside some of the NPCs like Cade. Hey, that sounds a lot like the NeoGAF thing we're going to talk about. At Just One More Try, better story, better story, better story. Oh, and more of the story in the game, not the Grimoire or on the website. There's just salt emanating from that, but I totally agree with it.
Yeah, agreed, definitely.
At Subtimus Prime, PvP seasons with rankings and limited time special featured modes and big team battle. Mass Effect 1 level of story, hire a novelist. Number 2, don't change the feel. Destiny has the single best control feel I've ever known. Sub, I think we'd get along, dude. That PvP seasons thing, I'm right there with you on that. At the Big Ragu, perks for completing a PvP match in progress, start with special ammo and super, guaranteed purple drop at end, plus a bonus drop if you turn the tide of battle and win it. It must tell you why you got the extra loot drops. So he's saying like an incentive to somebody who gets joined in progress.
Yeah.
No, you can't spawn in with heavy, man. I mean,
it depends on what point you are in the match. Obviously, don't spawn in with heavy, but
crazy.
But spawn in with the appropriate amount of super that you would have gotten passively. Into the match. I think that would be okay.
I like the idea of extra rewards for the join in progress person, but you know that's going to turn into like YouTube videos, like the 1v3 trials thing. Now it's going to be like join in progress, 6K down, come back and win it. Boom. At no punctuation. PvP Patrol Planet, where you are sent out to hunt other guardians based on their faction allegiance.
Yes.
Dude, these guys know about the wild. I swear, we had so many. Based on your
faction allegiance, you have Future War Cult outposts, you have New Monarchy outposts, you have Dead Orbit outposts.
Creates animosity between the two of them. We make the factions feel more like a tribe, like more special to the community who aligns with them, other than I like the color red. Well, I like the color black. Okay, well, you can go over there.
Colors.
Yeah, I couldn't pick a color, so I did all three. That's Future Workout right there. All right. Well, that's basically all the time we have today, but this is part 1 of part 2 because we have a huge NeoGAF post that has a lot of unconfirmed, yet maybe likely true information about big changes coming to Destiny 2. So don't miss out next week. This conversation continues, and we hope you guys have an amazing holiday season. Ditty, where can people find your content?
Twitter.com/Ditty, DTS, DITTY, DTS, and YouTube.com/Wooshness, WOOOSHNESS.
Remember to check out our friends at DestinyTracker.com, the best place in the Destiny universe to track your stats. You can follow us on Twitter at Destiny the Show. Didn't have your comment featured, but want to see it next time? Let us know. You can follow us on twitch.tv/Destiny the Show. You can follow me at BBK Dragoon on both Twitch and YouTube. We have over 1,000 Discord members now, so super sweet. Thank you guys. Discord.me/Destiny the Show. And that's all the links we have for now. We'll see you next week. We're diving into Destiny 2.